T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
And I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir. You know, fellas, it's the holiday season, right? So Santa asked Mrs. Claus, "Hey, Mrs. Claus, what's the weather looking like for Christmas Eve?" ? She says, I think there's a chance of rain, dear.
Oh, jeez. Good God.
Hey, week 14 is in the books. It's the NFL season. Kyler Murray is out for that season. Brock Purdy leads the Niners pretty impressively, and there's so much coming up on week 15. We have so much to talk about. So a question to you to get started, Lugs. Are Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers done, cooked, it's over, kaput, see you later?
No.
Really?
Because their division is so bad, I don't think they're done. I think Brady may be done. I think what you're seeing is just the changing of the guard for real. But if you boys will remember now, I did say that I thought Brock Purdy would do okay. I did not realize.
Mark the tape. I do remember that. Yes, I do remember that.
The young man would acquit himself so substantially. But my favorite thing after that game was Brady signing the football for the interception. And also, after that, Brock Purdy came over with a football and got Brady to sign it as well. So it was an interesting moment. Passing of the football, as it were.
Well, and didn't Brock get a little almost cocky? He was doing that gun shooting, thing
with
his fingers.
Well,
I mean, the kid even got cocky. I mean, I got to give it to him. He had a lot of swagger.
Yeah, but, let's be honest now. He is Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's a backup to the backup.
So I think he'll be all right.
T-Dog differs, I think. He's thinking something else.
I'm not gonna. No, it's kind of interesting how Lugs put it, but I will say this: I'm definitely not gonna say he's better than Garoppolo because that wouldn't be fair to Garoppolo, who I know people go back and forth on. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, it felt like he definitely wasn't going to be on the team. So I mean, but. That being said, Garoppolo's been a good starter. Obviously, it feels like he hits a ceiling, but I mean, he literally could have been a guy who won the Super Bowl if that pass was just a little bit different against the Chiefs a few years ago. That being said, Brock Purdy has better mobility. And, I think, in terms of throwing the deep ball, Brock Purdy's better than Garoppolo. Now, I'm not going to say he's better than Garoppolo, but I mean, considering he was Mr. Irrelevant, he comes in. And, to be fair, Garoppolo had this too. They have so many just great weapons and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle and Ayuk. And, unfortunately, Debo's, out, I guess, until late into the regular season. But still, you just have to be a point guard distributing the ball. But Brock Purdy, I mean, kind of like Lug said, I mean, was a great starter for Matt Campbell, Iowa State for multiple years. Very experienced. And then again, at Iowa State, I believe they ran a pro style offense. So, he's more, I think, game ready to play in the pros than a lot of guys. He doesn't have some of the talents of those other guys, but still he could play. And just, Christian McCaffrey being dominant in that game. Jordan Mason, the backup, also averaging 5 yards a carry. And just that defense. I mean, that's the other thing not to underrate on the San Francisco. They've just turned it back on and just harassed Brady. Had 2 interceptions, a fumble by Rashad White. That's actually kind of crazy. They didn't sack him at all, but but also like Luke said, as bad as Tampa is, they're still in the mix because. But you know what? I'm really kind of rooting for the Panthers.
You think so? You think so?
I'm rooting for the Panthers.
Let's go.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we want to talk about that, I call him Rip Van Darnold. He finally woke up.
Who is that? Oh, Darnold. I was like,
and they still have a chance to make the playoffs, even with 4-8 record. Just again because that division is so very bad.
if they run the table, I think they got it. I'm with you.
And Seattle, I want Geno Smith to be good. I really do, because he's paid his dues. But he didn't show me much of anything in that game. He kind of regressed for me. But the highlight was to see Darnold, whom everybody had discounted. He had himself a game. If nothing else, he upped his trade value on the market.
You know, I heard this today that Geno Smith cannot be the comeback player of the year. What's he coming back from? He's coming back from nothing. There was. Go ahead, T-Dog.
I was going to say for Darnold, I mean, Darnold didn't make any mistakes, but let's not get it twisted. He threw for 120 yards, averaged 5 yards per pass. And he had, he had one 26-yard run, which I guess congratulations on that. But particularly the Panthers under Steve Wilkes, got to give love to, the interim coach. They've really turned it around under him. They've just focused on just pounding the rock. Chuba Hubbard and Dante Foreman combined for over 150 yards rushing. Even Raheem Blackshear getting into it with 30 yards and a touchdown. And just their defense is, really gave Geno fits. And, the unfortunate thing for Seattle is with the injury to Walker, they just don't have a running back. Also with Penny out too, like none of the guys that were in there, they don't have a running back, which it's going to be hard to run on Carolina anyway. But if you can't run, it just allows this team, when Carolina, who has a good pass rush, just to kind of pin their ears back. And it was a day for Geno. But like I said, Carolina has their recipe. Even Darnold after the game asked, is like, what are y'all going to do? He's like, run the ball. Like, he even knows he's not supposed to do anything. He's just supposed to hand the ball off. He's done a great job the last few weeks. So, hopefully Panthers keep it going. And like I said, I know they'll be one and done if they get the playoffs, but I think it's just a better story than Tampa.
Well,
so
and I was going to say all he does is win, Sam Darnold, but I just looked it up, and our crack team told me he's 18-33 as a starter. So, okay, I'm totally wet on that one. I'm all done.
Talking about big hits.
Yeah.
That Buffalo Jets game, Mike White, I don't understand why they just didn't roll a coffin out on the field and just go ahead and take that boy in. I mean, there was some times where he was bent in ways that you'd have to be made out of pipe cleaners or something to bend like that and not break.
Yeah.
And also Josh Allen, he went whirlybird on that one where he jumped over a guy. I think somebody needs to talk to young Josh Allen and show him film of RG3.
Yeah, you're right.
You don't last in this league by doing that nonsense. I mean, he's a hell of a quarterback, but I'm sorry, fella, you ain't the biggest man on that field, and you're not the meanest. They got some tough human beings. But anyway, that was a fun game. That was the most fun for me during the weekend, just to watch the crazy hits one after another. I mean, they were making statements, not asking questions on that one.
Just to kind of build off of what Lug said, the craziest thing on Ravens Steeler week, the Jets and Buffalo Bills actually outdid that rivalry in terms of just guys getting creamed. And again, Mike White got, laid out so bad. Like after the game, they actually took him, I believe, to the hospital in an ambulance afterwards. I believe he's okay. And it looks like he's on track to start against the Lions this weekend. But I mean, it was just, hellacious shot after another. And again, the one thing you got to give Mike White is like, it felt like maybe he was just going to start the remainder of the year. He's played well enough that, maybe he is like a find, right? Maybe he is the long-term
rough, you think?
I mean, the offense actually kind of moves and works with him. So
I agree.
And speaking of fines, Zonovan Knight, the guy that I believe they got, who was an unrestricted free agent, they lose Brees Hall, another great Iowa State player, who was just looking like a sensation early on to a season injury. Zonovan Knight comes out of nowhere. The last 3 weeks, he's been a good starting running back. So they just keep finding these guys. Unfortunately, they lost Quentin Williams in this game. I don't know how long he's going to be out. That's going to hurt them, but they are so loaded on defense. They should be able to mitigate that problem to an extent. But kind of like Lug said, the one thing I worry about with Josh Allen is he is tough. He's playing in I know the conditions weren't great, and obviously the Jets have a very great defense. But again, this kind of follows a pattern. Like the last 6 to 8 weeks, he hasn't really played great. He's played solid, but it just feels like for a guy who was definitely probably maybe should have been the MVP last year. I don't know what injuries he has. He clearly doesn't feel right. And I just worry about Buffalo in the playoffs. I think they'll be a tough out, but I don't think it's like last year where maybe they were the team that should have won the Super Bowl and just got unlucky. I don't know if that's the case this year.
Well, and let's move back to the old Steelers-Ravens. You're talking about hits.
That? Yep.
I think that game ended Mitch Trubisky's career. I mean, he came in and 3 interceptions.
Miserable.
It was awful. Kenny Pickett, I guess he'll still be in the protocol, so I guess they'll go with Trubisky this week. But whatever has gone on with his noggin, it's not repaired yet. Because, I mean, the man can throw the ball. It's just he makes these crazy decisions. You can't do that in professional football. You just can't. Those guys are too quick and too well schooled. So,
and in a post-practice interview, Mason Rudolph said he's been taking half of the snaps this week. So maybe it's not going to be Mitch.
Well, maybe. Just sad.
Yep.
Well, I still think, I don't know. I think the saving grace I'll say for Trubisky is the sample size. Obviously, there's been enough games with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett hasn't looked great in this offense either. Now, he hasn't thrown as many picks as Trubisky did he hasn't maybe looked as bad as Trubisky did in the back end. But even Trubisky throwing the ball, I know you can't just wash away the picks. I mean, he threw the ball better than Kenny Pickett has in any game. I think. I know it's hard to omit the picks, but you know what I'm saying, for a throw-to-throw basis, I mean, I think he moved the offense better. And like I said, the main guy to get guillotined this year, besides maybe Trubisky, is Matt Canada. Their offense is just an absolute mess. Deontay Johnson, I know I probably overrate him, but I think he's a great wide receiver. He still has yet to score a touchdown for a guy. I think he has over 100 targets as a wide receiver, which is actually, I think, now the record, and he might get the record for the year. Pickens, who's a young guy who's developing, he only had 3 targets, which is kind of confusing to me. Ravens keep winning these games, but Pittsburgh's not a good team, and I know it's a rival, but still, and I know Tyler Huntley went out, and they had to go to Anthony Brown, their third string running back. Luckily, J.K. Dobbins came back and played well, gave him over 120 yards rushing and a touchdown. But I think the problem with the Ravens is you look at them and, I know currently they have the tiebreaker over the Bengals. With how the Bengals are playing, they're not going to hold on to the NFC North. Luckily, the Titans are falling apart even more so than them. So, they'll still get in the playoffs, Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But unless Lamar comes back and is relatively healthy, again, they're a one and done.
Well, just to back up on that and back up what you're saying. So the Ravens are quietly 9-4. Question number 1 is, do you believe in them? But I think you answered that. Or will the Bengals just run them over and take that thing and they're going strong? Joe Burrow's on fire. Yeah,
I think, the Bengals, you know what? I might have to give them the edge for going to the Super Bowl at this point.
Wow. Okay.
But they've got some playing to do still. I was just going to say about the Steelers. I think, given a good offensive play caller, those boys could be doing much better than they are, and I still think that they will finish better than 500. I think they just will, even with Mason Rudolph in there, or even Trubisky. They've got some guys. It's just for whatever reason, the play calling is just whacked out. It just makes no sense sometimes, some of the plays that get called.
Well, you know what? I'll take that bet because currently they're 5-8, so they have to run the table in order
They do.
to finish above 500. I'll take that bet, particularly with Trubisky or Mason Rudolph starting next game. And it's against Carolina, the white hot Carolina defense. So I'll take that bet. I have them losing next week against Carolina.
White hot Carolina offense too.
Well, that's true. It's the doppelganger matchup.
Okay,
but what I look at is that the defense against the run game, and all Carolina, we've already said, is going to do is run it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Steelers can stop the run. They can do. Their back end is kind of watery, but anyway.
Yeah.
My other favorite of the weekend was not the game so much as that Mahomes sandlot play where he's running out of the pocket, and it's you're going to see him tackled, and all of a sudden he does that little underhanded skip pass to Jared McKinnon, and it's a touchdown.
Did he throw that with his left hand too? Did I miss that, or was it right-handed? Do you know?
No, it was right-handed.
Okay.
To be fair, though, his MVP second season, he did throw with his left hand against the Denver Broncos on a Monday night game. So,
yeah, but
and
yeah,
speaking
absolutely.
of MVP, I'm sorry, but Mahomes would have to be the MVP, even though the fans would say Jalen Hurts. I think that Mahomes is the standard by which you judge crazy quarterback play that always gets it done. But I think if the Eagles continue to win, they'll give it to Jalen Hurts.
I agree with you. I think the buzz is on Jalen right now just because the Eagles have done nothing for so long, and he's like a breath of fresh air. I think he's your guy. I think I'd take him as the front runner. That's my take.
And again, I believe Patrick Mahomes has only won once, but since he's always been in contention since he was MVP his first 4 year, you do feel like the Jordan effect where it's just kind of fatigue, where some people, they just want to name other people just because, they don't want to give it to Patrick Mahomes all the time. But I just want to talk about, the Chiefs-Broncos game. I think one of the key factors against Broncos, and again, their defense played really well, but it feels like Chiefs really kind of going back to what Lugg said on that underhand throw. They really focused on getting McKinnon going. McKinnon, running back, they gave 9 targets to out of the backfield, and he turned it into 112 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. And even Pacheco, their main runner, he had 23 yards receiving. Not to get lost in this game because everyone dogpiled him all year, and rightfully so, I guess, to some degree. I want to give a silver lining to Russell Wilson. Easily his best game as a Bronco, right? And he had 3 touchdowns. One of the ones, the Judy out of the back end zone was just, I think, like a great throw. He even had 57 yards of rushing. It's unfortunate that he got a concussion because Hackett's going to be out of there, but maybe he showed enough life in this game and maybe in some games down the stretch that someone can think they can revitalize him. I'm not saying it's maybe not delusional, but they'll get Tim Patrick back, who I think is a big missing piece to their, he's a good possession receiver for them. And KJ Hamler's been out pretty much this whole year. He hasn't played a whole lot. Who gives him a speed element? So I don't know. Like, I'm trying to be nice to the Broncos. Like, their defense is still playing hard for them, but just, again, kind of like Lugg said, I get why Jalen Hurts, and I'm thinking he's deservedly so, but just when you watch Patrick Mahomes, I think he plays quarterback at just a different level than anyone this year. So
So in a similar way, so you remember last year, we were so down. Everybody was down on Coach Sirianni at the Eagles.
Yeah.
Sirianni. Is Hackett the next Sirianni, and he'll have a comeback next year? Like Sirianni's like, what? This guy's the greatest coach ever this year.
No, because Hack's going to get fired.
Hacket's going to get fired.
When you're having to bring in side help,
Scratch
experienced
that.
people, no, he's gone. He's got to go.
Because also, to be fair to Sirianni, they cut this is his second year. He started off their offense started off suspect because they hired him to be offense. And credit to him and his staff. They were going to go pass heavy last year, and then they just went run heavy. We're really focused on Hurts running with their tandem of running backs. And now that they've added A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith has another year under his foot, like they are really opening up. So even Sirianni's worst year last year, they still were a playoff team where Hackett, I mean, they're 3-10. And they had a defense that for the most part has kept teams under 20 points most weeks. And they still only have 3 wins. So it's all on Hackett.
Yeah, that's a no good. That's a no good. Okay, let's talk for a minute about Kyler Murray. He's out for the season. Non-contact injury, tough to watch. Here I was going to blame artificial turf, but it was on grass. A running quarterback. If he wasn't a running quarterback, fellas, he'd be playing today. But he also got paid, thank goodness, before this all went down. So your thoughts on Kyler and the next steps for him?
Well, I have to almost go way back and say, surprise, surprise, surprise.
Gomer Pyle.
Kyler Murray is hurt again. I'm sorry. He's not built to be in the National Football League. And if he can't run, this is a serious injury. And he doesn't strike me as a guy who will stay to a plan to rehab. I hope I'm wrong. But if he can't run, because he can't sit in the pocket and pass, I mean, he's beyond short for the NFL. He's skimpy. I mean, they need to put a little step ladder back there for him.
What?
So,
where do you stand, son? Well, I'm not short, sir. I'm skimpy. Skimpy. He's Stimpy, Ren and Stimpy. Go ahead, yeah.
What I took away from that game is that Mac Jones, he continues to do enough to win with a defensive coordinator running the offense. And it's obvious that it's a defensive coordinator running the offense. It's not an offense.
Matt Patricia, right? Yeah, right.
It's strange to me. I mean, this is Bill Belichick, and he's letting the bearded non-wonder run his offense. Come on.
I'm going to look that up. Bearded non-wonder. All right. Also, see Matt Patricia. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole Kyler situation is just it has to be depressing for Arizona fans, just because, again, kind of like what Lug said. Obviously, this ACL. I mean, they've gotten incredibly better at repairing ACLs, but still, like, he's not going to be able to return till possibly mid next year, or late in the season,
late fall.
So and Colt McCoy has played okay, but again, Colt McCoy showed against New England Patriots, he's a solid backup, but he's not even like a guy who maybe starts, like 9 games until Kyler gets healthy next year, right? They have to either draft or acquire. And again, with all that money to Kyler Murray, you can't. So I guess you're going to have to draft a quarterback prospect to maybe start.
Plus, Colt's 35, 36 years old. He's no kid anymore either.
You're right. So it's like, I'm asking you all, do they draft a quarterback? Because obviously they can't put too much extra money into the quarterback because all that money with Kyler, right? So do they draft a quarterback? And also maybe that makes Kyler work harder, because maybe if their prospect hits, it puts some fire under him.
Yeah, they have to draft, I would say. And you figure Texas will take Bryce. So who does that leave? I mean, maybe Duggins. Williams is not available until next year.
Well, the guy who's really raw, who is in this draft, who is intriguing, is Florida's Richardson.
Yeah,
I don't know where he's going to go.
Yeah,
but I think I don't even know if he's going to fit because honestly, I don't even know if Cliff Kingsbury is going to be back next year.
Right. It's such a train wreck there.
I mean, again, they gave him and the GM like extensions 5 weeks into the season.
I'll just put it to you this way. Robinson, the ex GM for the Titans, he just very recently had an extension too. And as you can see, you can eat that GM money a lot easier. You can eat quarterback money. So that doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Well, and I think it's really sad about the Arizona Cardinals because they don't have much to hang their cleats on. And Troy Aikman made a good statement that look at this crowd, and most of them are wearing the number 1, Kyler jersey. And it's like, that's what they have. That's who they believe in. Since Larry Fitzgerald's gone and some other greats, Kurt Warner, others like that, they don't have much else. And it's really just it's just depressing.
Well, and also, again, Kyler is talented. Like I said before, like I think at times he could have been, definitely if they get a better coach in there, he could be I think he could border on a top 10 quarterback. Unfortunately, they paid him as a top 5 quarterback, which he's never going to be a top 5 because of kind of what Luggs has said, just his durability issues. I mean, even before this ACL injury, he missed games with a hamstring injury this year. So, and I guess talking about the other quarterback, I agree with Luggs. Is Mac Jones is one of those guys where some people have, as great as he looked as a rookie, are poo-pooing him. And it's just really the night and day of Josh McDaniels. You could criticize him as a head coach, but is an excellent offensive coordinator. Mac Jones came in, looked awesome, or looked like great as a first-year player.
Yeah.
And now has looked like he's regressed. And I don't even think to be kind of fair with what Luggs was saying, I don't think it's on him. I think, you got to criticize Belichick. It was a bizarre move at the time, and you didn't even in hindsight. Now that we've gone into it looks like what we would have imagined. It may be worse. So,
and one more thing about Kyler, and then we'll move on and do a little sports of yesteryear. But, hey, he got the big money. Just stand by, fellas. When Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are up for contracts, the table is already set for those guys to get loaded and paid for life. No question about it in my mind.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, here's a little sports of yesteryear, Luggs. You ready for that?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Let's go back to the way back before there was a Justin Herbert or a Joe Burrow or a Kyler Murray, way back in the olden days of sports of yesteryear. Here's our man Luggs. Come on in.
All right, 1901. First ever table tennis tournament is held at the London Royal Aquarium. Aquarium, folks. I don't know if it was played underwater or what. 1920. Jack Dempsey KOs Bill Brennan in 12 for the heavyweight boxing title in New York City. 1930, New York football giants defeat Notre Dame 22-0 in a charity game. Never heard of that before, but hey, that's good. And 1941, listen up, you Bears fans. First NFL division playoff, Bears beat Packers 33-14. 1980, Minnesota Vikings pass for 456 yards against the Cleveland Browns, winning 28-24. And finally, for the Joe Burrow fans out there, on this date, 2019, my man, or T-Dog's man, took the 85th Heisman Trophy Award. He got the highest percentage of first place votes ever, 90.7%. And that, my friends, is sports of yesteryear.
Fantastic. He got 90 what percent? He got what?
90.7.
Okay, I want to point out, what year was that Bears victory over the Packers in the playoffs?
1941.
I believe that's the last time the Bears beat the Packers.
Probably.
Sorry, T-Dog.
That's true.
Wow.
Name the quarterback.
Oh, I'm going to go Johnny Lujack. Johnny Lujack. That's where I'm going.
Lujack wasn't until the 50s.
I'm going to go with the only Sid Luckman.
Oh, he got it.
I thought Sid Luckman was Rams.
No.
Okay.
What? Oh, you don't know?
He's the only one. Hang on a minute. Crack research team's dialing us in right now. He was a quarterback, let's see, for the Chicago Bears, inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1965.
Oh,
He played
okay.
from 1939 to 1950, so he might have been the guy. T-Dog, you win that one.
Woo.
Sid
Woo.
Luckman.
All
Wow.
right.
Hopefully Justin Fields could be the second great Bears quarterback, because
Oh,
that
man.
would definitely be he would definitely be the second one in their
Gosh.
long history.
In 100 years. That's a pretty good deal right there. All right, what
One-
else, fellas? What else?
One every 50 years. That's
Sheesh.
great.
Oh, my gosh.
I just wanted to say it was interesting to see that the Lions still have a shot at making
They
the
do.
playoffs after they beat the Vikings. I think the Vikings are, I'm sorry, but they're paper tigers. I think they'll lose in the first round of the playoffs. I just don't have any faith in those boys.
I agree.
And
It's the defense. You can't give up 31 points and expect to win against the Lions. Agree. Go ahead.
Well, and they've got the absolute best receiver.
Yep.
They've got a good offensive line. So offensively, they should be putting some serious points on the board. But yeah, they're pretty much a sieve as far as defense goes.
And don't you
And I
want to
just
see the Lions in the playoffs? Don't you want to see that? I think that would be great for a change.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see Jared Goff. Get
Yeah.
a little pub for his effort.
Get a little pissed off for being traded. Yeah, let's do it. I agree.
Well, I'll say clearly, I think they have it's still a long shot for them to make the playoffs. They're clearly the fourth best team playing in the NFC right now. I mean, obviously Eagles. I would say the Cowboys. I know maybe we'll get into that Cowboys game where they got lucky, but still Cowboys and I'd say the
maybe.
49ers.
Yeah, yep.
But after that, I mean, I think clearly they're the fourth best team playing out of the NFC.
Agreed.
So,
right now, this week, I agree completely.
and to be fair to your point, Lugs, before the game, even though they're 6-7, or they were 6-6 or 5-5, my bad, 5-7, and Minnesota was 10-2. Vegas had Detroit Lions favored by a point.
Correct.
So it was not no one saw this coming type of thing. I will say for either team, even though I would like to see the Lions in the playoffs, both teams' secondaries are bad. Just absolutely atrocious. Jefferson keeps being, just like what you all said, a stud. Had 223 receiving yards.
He's ridiculous.
Early or right before half, the thing that was really questionable to me is Vikings were on the goal line late in the second, and they tried a Dalvin Cook jump throw that was blown up and led to a fumble recovered by the Lions. You have Dalvin Cook in the backfield. You had Justin Jefferson out wide. Why are you getting gimmicky I don't know. Like, it's just confounding to me. And the only other thing I want to say is I want to give credit for speaking of guys coming back from ACL tears, kind of going back to Kyler Murray thing a little bit. Jamison Williams in his second game back, their first round pick, he had a 40-yard catch for a touchdown. His very first catch of his career. I think is going to show other great things to come for Jamison Williams, and just another reason why Detroit Lions going forward in the future, they have so much young talent that they're going to be scared for a few years.
Their stock is up. I agree completely on that. Fellas, I got a question for you. This Saturday, the NFL Network carries 3 games in a triple header now that college football is over. How do you feel about the NFL Network being the only outlet to watch some major games on Saturday as part of the NFL package? You can't watch them on regular TV. How you feeling about that?
I think it'll make some money for the bars. I don't understand why you would cut everybody out or make them have to buy your package, because people have so many other choices now. I realize the NFL is the big dog, but still, for most folks, it's kind of cool just to sit there and flip channels and see what you want to see. So I don't like it personally, but hey, maybe they know something we don't.
I get it. They're just trying to establish why they should matter. Why, again, I don't even know how it works anymore. I mean, because obviously cable
Yeah.
is, I don't know where the state of cable is, but like
Cable's gone. It's a stream, right? It's totally.
Well, that's the thing is it gone? Or because you also hear how streaming's struggling, obviously too. I'm not saying the bubbles burst on streaming, but obviously you have like some of the quote unquote titans and you hear like they're bleeding out money. So who's to know what's going what? I mean, again, I love football, so like I'm not the best person to ask. Just like kind of looking at their spread of games, like Dolphins Bills is the only one that kind of really jazzes. I think me as like Colts Vikings. I mean, it'll be entertaining, I guess,
for a little while, maybe.
I mean, you got Tyler Huntley versus the rusted out, broken down Deshaun Watson, who's been off for 2 games. So it's like, I don't know what that game.
What did you call him? Rusted out, broken down? Man, the man's only been back for what, 3 games?
Maybe not broken down, but like he's looking rough.
That guaranteed money. Guaranteed money.
I mean, it looks like a guy who you think hasn't played for 2 years. I mean, that's what he looks like.
Well, they kept saying 700 days or 712 days or whatever. Yeah.
707 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, what else tonight, fellas, on the big program?
Is there
go
any
ahead.
games? Yeah, I was just going to give real quick shout outs to some, and again, talking about Josh McDaniels, who I think is a good coach, and they had rallied for a while after the embarrassing loss to the Colts where Jeff Saturday was plucked off of ESPN talking head show
on a Tuesday and was coaching on a Thursday. Right.
Yeah. This week it's the second one where Mayfield is acquired on waivers from Carolina on Monday and then comes in
crazy
and plays on Thursday.
Did you watch that? That was a great game to watch.
It really was.
He was amazing. He was amazing.
And again,
that one drive was amazing.
Well,
I mean, he had 2 drives. You're right. For a game, that's not great that you only have 2 drives, but still, he made them count.
But dude, he didn't even see the playbook. He was like playing street ball, practically. I mean,
he was doing what he does.
Yeah, and again, I know maybe we haven't been the biggest defenders of Baker Mayfield, but I don't think we've been his biggest haters. I just want to give him. Maybe he's never going to be a great starter, but anyone who's like he's a bum or something, he's not a bum. He's a guy who can work in certain systems. I think he's very limited on how he can work, but like he definitely showed, like, again, kind of like we're talking about, his moxie and just giving him a chance to win. And like I said, I feel bad for the Raiders because I think they have a lot of talent on offense. Again, I think Josh McDaniels is possibly a good coach. Definitely at the end of this year, though, their defensive coordinator has to get fired. They've had 10-point plus leads, and they've blown I don't know how many.
Dude, you keep putting so many modifiers before his name. Could possibly might be a good head coach. You can't get too many more on there.
Okay, he's maybe not a good head coach. You're right. He's maybe not. But he's got himself to blame. The other guy I want to give a shout out to, because obviously even though Justin Fields had that tear and has been playing well, everyone's like, oh, he might be the best guy of his draft class. Trevor Lawrence, for the most part, has done the hold my beer.
He woke up
where that Titans game, he had 2.
He dusted those boys.
He had 2 touchdown passes that were like at least 20 yards down the field, and they were both sick. Zay Jones pass right before the half, I think, with only 10 seconds to go. I think it was slightly tipped, and also credit to Zay Jones for catching it and staying in bounds. And then he did a high point to Evan Ingram on the back, kind of like a back shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he had a rushing touchdown that just showed you, for a guy who's 6'6", how much speed and athleticism he has. And Evan Ingram just is a mismatch. I mean, he had 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's labeled as a tight end, but every time you look at him, if you don't know, he's a wide receiver. And for, this, I guess, was a power struggle between Vrabel and Robinson, the GM, got outed. Team did not rally behind this maybe a new culture. They gave up 20 points off of turnovers. They're going to make the playoffs, the Titans, but again, kind of like the Vikings in Detroit, you watch their secondary. Their secondary is a mess. They're not going to beat anybody when you have to face Mahomes or Josh Allen. So like they're going to get dusted by someone probably early on in the playoffs. So.
All right.
Yeah, it was interesting. Trevor Lawrence, I was just going to say, his post-game interview with the young lady, he's like, more than she comes up to maybe his numbers level. So he's looking down at her. It was just an interesting juxtaposition. And he also has a look on his face. She asked him a pretty inane question, but he graciously went ahead and answered it. It was like one of those questions like, are you happy with the win? That kind of a thing. So, but yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I think he came of age in that second half, especially. Good for him. Good for him. And I'd say he's still got 2 years to be that quarterback that we think he should be, but much improved.
Well,
much improved.
And be in the same system for a little while with the same coaching staff, hopefully.
Yeah, Peterson will make it happen for him, I think.
And again, talking about qualifiers, again, he has to come back from suspension and he can't step away because of mental health, which I'm not making light of mental health, but he initially stepped away from mental health. If Calvin Ridley comes back and is the Calvin Ridley of the Atlanta Falcons, because that's who they traded for right before the deadline, if they get him in addition, oh my God, Jacksonville Jaguars might own the AFC for at least a few years.
That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I want to make a bold prediction, too. I think Baker Mayfield has found a home, and Matthew Stafford will retire after this year because of all of his challenges with his head injuries and, concussion protocol, different things going on. I think he's done. So maybe Baker is in his place. I don't know.
Well, with Stafford, I think the big issue is his arm. Whatever the issue is, pinched nerve or whatever, I think he has real problems. Now, since you made a bold prediction, here you go, boys.
Yes, go.
My big ass prediction for this time, I say that the Raiders trade Derek Carr and get themselves a 1 and 2 pick, and get ready, our man TB12. That's right, Tom Brady goes and plays for Josh McDaniel and the Raiders because he knows the system.
Yeah.
And you could tell Brady does not care for what's going on at the Buccaneers at all. It's like too haphazard for Brady. He needs it very structured. So
you may be onto that.
He could go there, have himself a good year. It's possible he could go to San Francisco, but I think more likely he'll go to the Raiders.
Plus, Byron Leftwich is catching a lot of heat right now for the plays he's calling, so he may be onto that. Plus, Vegas, Brady, Magic, that's where he needs to be, right there. It's all in that, glitter dome there, whatever they play in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be perfect because that's where a lot of very old aging stars go to end their careers.
He could go catch Sammy Davis Jr.
Vegas,
in the lounge. Oh, wait, Sammy passed away, I think.
It is the La Brea Tar Pits.
Everybody loves somebody sometime. La Brea Tar Pits.
It's just bone.
All right, what else? We lost control here at some point.
I guess the last thing I'll just say real quick is credit to the Texans making a close game of it, and maybe the Cowboys were feeling themselves too much after that 30-plus explosion in the fourth quarter against the Colts, or maybe they were looking ahead to their game against the Eagles Week 15. Or actually 2 weeks from now. I take that back. 2 weeks from now. But you look at it and it's just like, man, they got lucky that they were able to escape against a Texans team where I don't know. It's like Dameon Pierce is a solid player, but outside of that, they're having Jeff Driscoll, who's a tight end, who was a quarterback, play half the snaps as a poor man's Taysom Hill. I don't know. They kept it close with this Cowboys team. It concerns you a little bit.
Well, and the Texans, I think most of those guys in their off hours drive for Uber and Lyft. You know, they're just trying to make a little extra money. So,
Oh, all right.
And-
Well, that might go ahead, T-Dog. What
And
else?
this is the last thing.
Yeah.
On the flip side, their rival Eagles are easily humming the best team in the
Shoosh.
league.
Yep.
No shock to anyone, but just week in, week out, how their offense explodes in different ways. A few weeks ago, it was Hurts going crazy, running the ball. Then the next week, it's him airing it out against the Titans. And this week, it's they key on spotlighting Miles Sanders. He runs for 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're just so versatile, so deep on both sides of the ball. They are easily have to be the best or the favorite to win. So,
All right. Well, I want you to go ahead. Lux, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say before we got out, I just wanted to note the passing of Mike Leach.
Yeah.
A man who brought offense to Texas Tech, Washington, and also to Mississippi State. His games were always fun to watch, but his press conferences were great. So I will miss seeing that guy and hearing his take on life.
Well, and a little anecdote about that. I heard a general manager or old athletic director of his, I can't remember, say this. He said, Mike, I want you to dress casual when you go for that job interview. He says, okay. So he opens the door, and Leach shows up in cargo shorts, a Hawaiian shirt, and flip-flops, and a cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup. It says, I'm ready for my interview now. So, yeah, you're right. We need more people like that. And, yeah, may he rest in peace. Right on.
yeah, just I just remember back in the mid 2000s, the big win they had against Texas when Texas was still kind of feeling themselves at their peak on late under Mac Brown. I believe Texas was number 1, and Michael Crabtree late in the game scores a touchdown to have the big upset. And also you just hear about how hard it is to win at Texas Tech because where it is located in Texas, it's not the most marketable university to prospects. For him to build that program up to what it was during his tenure there, to him to turn around Washington State the way he did in the very quick ways, and he was a guy that allowed Gardner Minshew to get drafted, and Gardner Minshew gets to show his personality, and again some great books written about him. Swing Your Damn Sword is a fascinating read if anyone has time. But yes, Mike Leach will be missed. Great personality, excellent offensive mind. And just makes the SEC lose a little bit flavor. So,
all right, as we exit today, fellas, I want to go back to the Las Vegas idea. How about this? Tom Brady and Tom Jones on the same dais, on the same billing in Vegas. Can you see that? It's not unusual to be mad at anyone. All right, let's get out of here. This has been Sports and Other Stuff, sponsored in part by Go Away, crowd. Get out of here. Farrow Mobile Homes, yes, cross that money-saving bridge for big savings. It's right there on the right where all them trees are. Stop in there and ask for our guy. His name is
Fish. And since this is the week that French astrologer and physician Nostradamus was born, Fish is hosting a Renaissance fair as well as a tarot card reading by Madame Schmidt, whom everyone probably knows better for her years as Margaret, the fry cook at Steak and Shake. With her card, she has correctly predicted the date of daylight savings times and other notable goings-on. So come on down 1 p.m. this Saturday and find out what the future holds for you, your loved ones, and your beloved pets. That's right. Come on down.
We'll see you next week for Sports and Other Stuff. So long for just a while. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sport Weasels. We'll be back next week. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.